Welcome to the Geek Homeworld podcast. I am your host, Ed, aka the Savage Tech Man. We talk film, TV, and tech, all from a geek perspective. You can find us on X, Instagram, Facebook, and you can subscribe and follow on YouTube at Geek Homeworld. Don't forget to subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. Be a part of the Geek Homeworld. And that was the smoothest intro ever, right?
Hey, I think it was better than last time.
It was much better than last time. The sound should be much better this time, even though I lost my SD card, which I'm upset at my micro SD card. Welcome, everyone, to... it was scheduled, but I'm too lazy to put anything out and say that this was scheduled. But this is our annual Oscars preview show, and this is for Oscars 2024. I'm Ed Ciucevich, a host of the Geek Homeworld podcast, and I've got here my Oscar aficionado, my Oscar guru, the sayer of all things Oscar, Scott Schreiber.
Glad to be here again. I do like this time of year, even though, I think, unfortunately, some people don't care about the Oscars as much anymore, but I still do. I'll carry the torch.
Yep, there's still a little show called the Oscars, and people in the industry still care. And boy, it's a hard time out there right now in the industry for some, and things are getting better. They're looking up. Thank you, Dune, for saving the box office so far this year. And
good start there with Dune. Absolutely, the Bob Marley movie did well, so it's doing well. So yeah,
there's been some lower budget films that I've really enjoyed that aren't going to be Oscar contenders. There's Ordinary Angels, had me sobbing like a little baby in there. And there was another one I saw that was really good. I've seen a lot of good ones. Land of Bad. That's a really good movie. And
yeah, that was a decent action movie. That one kind of surprised me.
Yeah, I was blown away. And most of these have been Regal Monday night preview movies, and they've been hitting it out of the park on a lot of them. So I'm excited. It's nice to be excited about the film industry and things that are going on. But we're here to talk about the 96th Annual Academy Awards that are tomorrow night, March 10th at 7 p.m., which is a new time. That's sooner, right?
Yeah, they bumped it up an hour, but it's still probably going to run past 11 o'clock. But I guess, it won't run to midnight. So,
we'll see. Yeah, and depending whether you remember to spring forward tonight, March 9th. I don't know if you'll miss the ceremony or not, because
I didn't think about that. That's happening too, yeah.
So is it relative, the extra hour, or not? I don't know. Are we gaining time or are we losing time? I don't know. But I'm not excited about losing my hour of sleep, but I'm excited about the hour of sunlight I'll have.
Yeah, definitely.
But anyway, so tomorrow night, and what network is this on, or internet, or
it's going to be on ABC this year and hosted by Jimmy Kimmel. It'll be his fourth time hosting. I believe he hosted last year.
Yeah.
After the year that they did no host.
And you and I have not been fans of no hosting. No,
I'm glad they have somebody. And Jimmy, he's done it. Obviously 3 times before. Now he's, he ties the likes of Whoopi Goldberg and Jack Lemmon, who both hosted it 4 times.
Right.
I believe he's one behind, who would it be? Johnny Carson. But then they're miles behind Billy Crystal and Bob Hope. So it's
do you remember how many times both of them have hosted? I
don't remember. It's probably double digits at least for Bob Hope. But
it's at least 10 for him, maybe more. Yeah, they were kind of the go-to people, and I see we've also got a chat here. By the way, we're on Geek Homeworld. We're live streaming there. This is a live stream, so everything that can go wrong will go wrong. And Digital Caveman from Digital Caveman Presents, you need to check him out on Instagram, or also his YouTube channel. He does a lot of unboxings and stuff, and we go way back to 2008. Caveman, we I'm reading one of his comments. I don't know if you can see his comments, Scott. He's like, "Who's gonna?"
Full screen.
Okay, who's gonna slap the mess out of Jimmy's predictions. I don't know. But anyway, Digital K-Man's joining us in the chat here for a little bit, so appreciate him and everybody who's going to check this on the replay. And you're going to see what our prognostications, is that a word? What we're predicting is going to win versus kind of what we want to win, which is kind of what we're predicting, and what actually wins. We'll come back with a show afterwards to, wrap up, do our Oscar post show, I guess you would call it. But this is the year. Thank God for the strike. It moved Dune back to 2024, because this would have been the year I would have been torn between Oppenheimer and Dune. And I would have went with Oppenheimer just a little bit more, even though.
Yeah, I'm not sure what I would like. I do think Christopher Nolan's a lucky man, because Dune Part 2 was fantastic. I really did enjoy it, and it's going to be a high bar for the rest of the movies this year.
It is. It is.
But yeah, I do think Nolan's going to rule the night tomorrow night with Oppenheimer. Oppenheimer led the way with 13 nominations. Poor Things at 11, Killers of the Flower Moon with 10, Barbie 8, Maestro 7. There's a handful here with 5. So a lot of movies got recognized here. American Fiction, Anatomy of a Fall, The Holdover, Zone of Interest, all with 5. And then Napoleon snuck in there with 3. So even though many people did not enjoy that one. And then there were a few more with a couple nominations. There were some big snubs, I think.
Is this Oscars Not So Barbie?
I don't know how so.
Well, I don't know. No, I was just saying that the controversy about Margot Robbie and Greta Gerwig.
Well, I do want to. Yeah, let's talk about that, because I don't. When everybody got upset about them being snubbed, I didn't really buy into it, because they're nominated in other categories.
Right.
Margot Robbie is up for Best Picture as a producer. So, I think she'd probably be more proud of that than an acting nomination. So, I don't buy into the snub thing. Greta, yes, I would have put her in the Best Director category, easily top 5 for me this year. But she's nominated for screenplay, and her film that she helmed is up for 8 awards. So I just don't buy into this snub stuff for Barbie, especially when you get 8 nominations. It's probably going to win 1 or 2.
It's not a complete snub. It's it's a mini snub.
And I think when you talk about complete snubs, the 2 that stand out to me the most are Saltburn and Air. I do think that both of them having 0 nominations is kind of ludicrous. But this,
ludicrous has nothing to do with this.
Well, I don't know. I don't know. Is he in the Hollywood Illuminati?
I'll have to ask Cat Williams when he comes on the show, and we'll talk.
There you go.
There you go.
But and then I know we hadn't really talked about Origin at all. I know because since I had seen it, I know that you really enjoyed It
was one of the Monday Night Regal previews. It might have been a month ago at this point. I'm not sure. It might have been a little bit longer than that. I was blown away. I was in tears, and it's such an Oscar-worthy film, and it's a freaking joke that it didn't get some kind of nominations and that they didn't promote it enough. I know it was a smaller studio, but if any small film should have pushed through, Origin seems like just a natural. And I'm not saying that because I'm a Savannah native and a good portion was filmed in Savannah, because I've been part of productions. I've seen stuff that's been filmed down there, and not all of it's even worthy of going on the big screen. But Origin was incredibly powerful film that I think should be required viewing in classrooms or something. There should be some kind of required viewing.
I do agree with that. I feel like it's a movie that younger generations need to see. But I actually kind of agree with the snubs. I know this might surprise you to hear that, but I didn't think it was a very well put together movie. I thought they were very great, powerful vignettes and moments, but I don't think it was really a well made film. It was just and unfortunately, but I did think it had a great message, obviously, and a wonderful performance from the lead actress. I'm drawing a blank on her name right now, unfortunately.
Yeah.
And I see like it was, and again, it's better than most films this year. I just don't think I would have put it in my top 10. So I'm not going to go screaming and shouting that it's, a snub necessarily. I would have,
I may have gotten,
I'm sorry, Saltburn and Air especially. I'm kind of disappointed that didn't get like at least a screenplay nomination, or Viola Davis getting nominated, something for Air. I don't know. But yeah, and then Color Purple getting a little snub. They only got one nomination. That I'm a little more upset than Origin getting none, because Color Purple was really well made.
If the Color Purple, I mean, I could see costume design. I could see it being on the level of Barbie in some, at least in some of the more musical categories. Is that fair to say?
That and the artistic, like it didn't get a costume nomination. It didn't get hair and makeup. I mean, it should have been up for. I think there was the original song in there was good enough, but song was kind of a tough category. There's a couple of snubs that I in song that I was a little more upset about than that.
Right. But for me, the Color Purple going in, I was going in with a chip on my shoulder. I was like, there's no way you can even come near the new one. And from seeing the trailers and all, I'm like, it might be good, but it's not going to be as good as the original Color Purple. And it's not, but it's I instantly, and it was part of going in a crowd where the crowd was singing along and clapping, and they were like, oh yeah, you get him. And they were definitely with the characters in the film, the audience definitely involved. But once I saw it in a crowd like that first time watching it, it just really endeared me to the film, and I could see how powerful it was. And so I was, even though it didn't hit the emotional highs or the pungent, hits of, no pun intended, of the heavy material, it did get that across, but it was more, I don't want to say it's more family oriented, but it was more of a musical, and I get that.
Yeah.
But it did hit that level of, this is a very good film for me. And I'm a little ticked that it didn't get more nominations. I'm glad it at least got something, but it was another film that snuck in at the end of the year, and it didn't quite, have time, I think, to, like Air, I think, suffer from the opposite. It came out, and we talked about this a year ago. We said
so early. It
came out so early that people are going to forget it, because so many good things like Oppenheimer were coming and other stuff, and so, and then of course Barbie overshadows everything, and but yeah, one nod for Color Purple, and one of your favorite franchises, Guardians of the Galaxy, number 3.
Yeah, that will. Yeah, definitely. Before we start talking about the actual nominees, I think Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 probably deserved a little more love here. I think it, it got nominated for, I believe, visual effects, but which is kind of the Marvel, they always get nominated and they've never won a visual effects award, which is kind of silly. Should have won for Infinity War probably, or maybe Endgame.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think this script of Guardians Volume 3 is good enough for an Oscar nomination, in my opinion. It's a great ending to a trilogy, which Marvel hadn't done really well lately. So it was like, it was a great ending to that trilogy. I thought a wonderful script, and maybe a sound nomination or something, maybe more than one nomination.
Well, it was a good story. I actually, when I saw Guardians 3, and I probably saw it maybe 3 times, in theaters, I was really touched by the storyline, and there were some complaints when it first came out that they showed a little bit too much, because there is, like Rocket being tortured by the High Evolutionary, which that actor, by the way, was a high point for the film. I can't say his name. He's got a very difficult name to pronounce. That played the High Evolutionary. That actor, he did a phenomenal job in that. I really bought his performance as a bad guy. And Marvel doesn't always stick the landings with a lot of their bad guys, other than Loki and Killmonger and Thanos, maybe. But High Evolutionary, that actor did really well. And like I said, the storyline really kind of caught me. I wasn't expecting it to be that emotion of a
it's
film.
all right.
Yeah.
You can make up words.
It was emotionable. Oh, by the way, the Klingon High Council, Digital Caveman, he says, great Klingon style beard, Scott. So
Oh
the
yes,
Klingons like your beard. I had mine kind of growing out, and I had a shaving. You can't tell, but I had a shaving accident. I was like, I'm going to trim it. Oh, I trimmed it. So it's like uneven. You can't tell, but
yeah. I tried to get into the chat, but it won't let me. I guess I'm not worthy.
you're not worthy. I don't want to mess around with anything right now and just unmess you up or undo you here. But anyway, so we mentioned our
We'll get to the nominees.
Digital Caveman. Okay, I have to add this because I talked about the Highly Evolutionary. He does a lot of unboxings on his channel of action figures, X-Men, Transformers, you name it. He does it. And he does like a video every day. And he said he was disappointed with the High Evolutionary's costume. I don't know enough about the costume. If you want to elaborate, Caveman, you can on that. We're not going to spend much. We'll come back to it, but yeah, I liked it. I mean, I love this performance. But anyway, we said Gurrick and Robbie. We already talked about that. Possible.
Yeah, it's time to get to it, isn't it? I believe. Let's start with the actors. Let's do the acting first, and let's start with a couple.
I know that I can't pronounce somebody in the no. Maybe it's which one.
Half of these names you might be able to do.
No, actually, I'll be good. So if I mess up, I finally know how to say Cillian Murphy. I always want to say Cillian.
There you go.
But it took me a while. But so I'll start supporting actor. Sterling K. Brown for American Fiction, and this is his first nod. I was upset because when the film supposedly came back out to theaters, it didn't come here to Augusta, and so I was not able to see it. We never actually got to the theater to see it, and I was very upset about that. So I had intentions to see it. But we have Sterling K. Brown for American Fiction. We have Robert De Niro. I think he's a new actor for Killers of the Flower Moon, this is his 9th Oscar nod, and he's had 2 wins. And I'm going to ask my Oscar aficionado, what were those 2 wins for?
Godfather Part 2 and Raging Bull.
Thank you. I knew Raging Bull. I almost forgot Godfather. And we have Robert Downey Jr. There is life after Marvel for him. For Oppenheimer, this is his 3rd nod. Chaplin and Tropic Thunder. I did not know that he got nominated. I forgot for Tropic Thunder, and that's a classic film that you can't make today. But if you understand humor, you understand the film. Ryan Gosling for Barbie, his 3rd nod. Half Nelson in La La Land. Now, I did not see Half Nelson.
Yeah, that's one of his earlier works. It's kind of one of his breakthrough.
Okay.
That and Lars and the Real Girl, which he was not nominated for.
And going against Iron Man, we have the Hulk, Mark Ruffalo for Poor Things, his 4th nod. Really?
4th nomination, yeah.
Holy moly!
Kids Are All Right, Spotlight, and Foxcatcher. Yeah. Yeah, so and I think this one's a lock. I don't think there's anybody stopping Robert Downey Jr. He's going to get his first Oscar here. And it was like I personally would vote for Gosling. I think Gosling's the best performance of the year, lead, supporting, whatever. Gosling's the most memorable performance of the year. However, everything's been going Downey's way. I do believe he's deserving. He is really good in Oppenheimer.
Yeah.
And it is nice to see him after all these years of basically just doing Iron Man. Tony Stark, it's he hits a home run with this one. It reminds us of his younger days when he did stuff like Chaplin.
Well, he should have got an Oscar for Chaplin. That's kind of a disgrace. I'm sure he was up against God or somebody why he didn't win. At the time.
Yeah, I don't remember what year that was. If it might have been Anthony Hopkins for Silence of the Lambs or something. So it's kind of like, it's kind of tough.
Who's going to tell Anthony Hopkins no? But
yeah, I think that's a lock. Downey's going to win that one, and I think supporting actress is a lock as well.
Right. Well, our DJ, I definitely want him to win. It would just be really good. And I've been on the Oppenheimer thing since I saw the first trailer before I even knew. When I saw the poster, I was like, "Oh, that's going to win Best Picture." I just like have known. It's been like my thing. It's like one thing I'm sure of, and so if Oppenheimer doesn't and it doesn't clean up at this Oscars, this isn't the Lord of the Ring, the Return of the King year for Oppenheimer, I'm gonna probably be a little upset with its 13 nods. So yeah, Robert Downey Jr. for Oppenheimer. I think that's a safe pick, and I hope it happens. Yep. So, supporting actress. Who do we have? The nominees
All right.
are.
So, in supporting actress, we have a lot of first-time nominees, and then a legend in there as well. And it's shocking to me that this is Emily Blunt's first Oscar nomination. How is that possible? That one of the greatest actresses out there right now. So, her first nomination for Oppenheimer. Danielle Brooks, the only nomination for Color Purple. It's her first nomination as well. She played the Oprah, I believe the Oprah Winfrey role. So she so she got nominated as Oprah did for the same role.
Right.
No, wait. Yeah, no, she played the Oprah role. I'm confusing myself. Yeah. And then America Ferrera got in there for Barbie.
And for me, her performance is that little speech she gives is the epitome of that whole film. So
yeah, that's why she's nominated. The delivery of that scene, I believe, and she's, if I'm not mistaken, I think she won Emmys and stuff for Ugly Betty. So she is definitely accomplished. And then there's your legend is Jodie Foster. This is her 5th nomination from the movie Naiad, which was about the swimmer, the swim. I believe she's like 60-year-old swimmer who. Oh yeah,
Diana Nyad. I remember that when I want to say that might have been in the late 70s or something, or early 80s when she swam. She swam to Cuba or the U.S. or where did she swim? The Atlantic or what was it?
Yeah, I think it was to Cuba. I can't remember. I did watch the movie, I swear, but
yeah,
I don't remember the specifics about it. But, it was very well done. Yeah. Her and Benning and Jodie Foster both deserve their nominations. They really did a great job there. But here, the winner of supporting actress this year is going to go to Divine Joy Randolph for The Holdovers.
She's been sweeping.
Yeah, she's winning everything, and it's very deserving. She's very good in this film. She's funny, and she's heartbreaking.
There's so many good performances in The Holdovers.
It's very great film.
Giamatti, which we'll get to in a second. So, let's roll right into lead actor. And one of those nominees is Paul Giamatti for The Holdovers, his second nod. And he win for Cinderella Man?
No, his first nomination, his only other nomination was for Cinderella Man, which I was surprised with him too. It was like, I would have thought he'd be up. This was more than his second nomination. I thought he would have at least been nominated for Sideways. There's a couple of other, American Splendor. I'm kind of shocked he's only had 2, and he is the sentimental favorite here. I do think there's a chance he wins, but the other nominees are
just too strong.
Go for it.
Yeah. If Ryan Gosling wins supporting actor and Bradley Cooper wins for Maestro for lead actor, I think you'll be super excited over the moon. 2 of your favorite actors, but I know.
Yeah, I don't think Cooper has a chance here. So Bradley Cooper is nominated for Maestro. This is his 5th acting nomination. That's pretty amazing. That's pretty solid there. He's the Academy likes Bradley Cooper for sure.
He's still a young actor. He's like new Hollywood, I guess you'd call it. I don't know.
Yeah, and now he's a director too, so he's an auteur.
Speaking of up and coming, and probably a very underrated actor is Coleman Domingo, and he was in Rustin, which I didn't get to see. This is his first nod for lead actor, so it'd be cool if he got it, but I don't think he's going to win. We said Paul Giamatti for Holdovers, Jeffrey Wright for American Fiction, his first nod. That would be fantastic if he won. But the hands down favorite, it's been a sweep so far, and I'm on board with this. Cillian Murphy for Oppenheimer, his first nod, and I'm all for the Scarecrow winning.
Yeah, I think you deserve an Oscar for getting his name right.
This time. It doesn't mean next time I'll remember.
but yeah, I do think there's still a possibility Giamatti wins, because he did win a couple of the precursors, but Cillian Murphy just won the SAG award, the Screen Actors Guild award. So a lot of those same voters are in the Academy voting body. So I think it is leaning towards Cillian Murphy and Oppenheimer's night. And I'm all for it. He is great in this film. It prompted me to finally finish Peaky Blinders the past couple of weeks. I had not finished watching that show, and I finally did. And no, he's an incredible actor. Irish. You gotta support. The Irish too.
In the chat, we have Digital K-Man. He says Coleman Domingo played a real, not nice person in Fear the Walking Dead. And he said he's a great actor, though. And I'd forgotten. Yeah, he was in Fear the Walking Dead, and back when I watched that show. And
his character on that flipped back and forth so many times. It was kind of unbelievable. But yeah, no, he's been killing it recently. He is very good in Rustin, but I don't think he has a shot against Cillian Murphy. And yeah, let's move on to lead actress. I believe we mentioned Annette Bening a minute ago for Naiad. This is her fifth nomination. She's never won.
That's amazing that she hasn't won something.
Yeah, I seem to remember, like, back for American Beauty, I think for '99, she was the front runner, and Hilary Swank upset her, if I remember that correctly. Or Hilary Swank won for Boys Don't Cry, and nobody saw it coming. Everybody thought it was going to Benning.
You mentioned Hilary Swank. There was, in this film I was telling you about that you had to see, where the little girl's trying to get a kidney transplant. What was it? It was out in the theaters, and Hillary, I really she was the best part of that movie, and I can't think of the name of it. I don't know why I brought it up. I can't.
Oh, you mentioned it earlier. It was Ordinary Angels.
Was it Ordinary? Is the same film? Okay.
Yes.
I think there was another, because I've seen so many like lower budget films this year that, not big blockbusters, that are so good so far in 2024. It makes me optimistic for the year. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to get you off track there. So,
it's okay.
You have to rein me in.
No, that's all right. We got Annette Bening. This is lead actress. So we got Annette Bening for Naiad. We got Lily Gladstone for Killers of the Flower Moon, her first nomination. Sandra Hüller for Anatomy of a Fall, her first nomination. Carey Mulligan, one of my favorites, for Maestro. This is her third nomination. And Emma Stone, Poor Things, her fourth nomination. She's the only one that's ever won before in this category. And it's possible she wins her second one for Poor Things. I would personally vote for Emma Stone. I think it's the most all-rounded performance and the most difficult. She basically goes from being an infant, an infant's brain in an adult's body, and then just full, you show her growth as a woman. And it's pretty brilliant stuff. And have you seen it yet, Poor Things?
I haven't seen it. I assume it's on streaming now, I imagine.
It just dropped on Hulu. So, maybe try to watch it before tomorrow night. I don't know, because it is up for 11 awards, and it is fantastic. It's top 3 for me this year. But she is one of the front runners, but I feel like Lily Gladstone has the momentum, and she's going to make an historic win tomorrow night and become the first Native American woman to ever win.
And I'm all for it. Killers of the Flower Moon, once again, could have been shorter, but it captured that time and era. It's got a lot of great performances, and her performance was definitely one of the standouts of Killers of the Flower Moon. So, I've got no problems with her.
And I do think it's like the one category. It's like, obviously Oppenheimer's going to rule the night, right?
Yes.
So, but I think all the other categories, it's like, okay, we're going to give one here, one here, one here. All the other movies are going to get one award,
Right.
And this is Killers of the Flower Moon, one award, in my opinion. So.
Yep. So we have next is live action short, and
we'll breeze through the live action shorts. The nominees, no one's ever heard of. It's The After, Invincible, Night of Fortune, Red, White, and Blue, and The Wonderful Story of Henry Sugar. The Wonderful Story of Henry Sugar is a Roald Dahl short story. that has been adapted by Wes Anderson, who, the movies, like Fantastic Mr. Fox and all those great things. And so I think he's the front runner because he's got the big name. But I've also read a little bit about, like, Red, White, and Blue has Brittany Snow in it, and it's an abortion story about how she has to cross state lines. So, it's kind of a time.
That's very topical, and an election year that could be just politically could win an Oscar just for that,
Yeah, and then the After star has David Oyelowo in it. So 3 of these have star power. The Henry Sugar has Ben Kingsley, Dev Patel. It's like a bunch of A-listers. So some of these shorts actually have big names in them. But the After, I watched last night. It's on Netflix. It's very short. It's 15 minutes. It's David Oyelowo. And it has the most shocking scene I've not ever seen. The most shocking scene possibly I've seen this year, where his wife and daughter are killed in this random attack. And it is quite shocking. Like, I won't tell people what it is, so you are even more shocked by it.
Right.
But I think it has a chance, but who knows with the shorts. And then an animated short, I won't even name the ones, but I think what's going to win is War is Over, inspired by the music of John and Yoko. Sean Lennon and Yoko Ono both produced it. So I think the big name recognition there, people are probably going to steer towards that. From then into animated feature, we got The Boy and the Heron, Elemental, Nimona, Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, and Robot Dreams. I think after the big success Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse had at the Annies the other night, like the animation awards, I think it's probably going to win, although I really want The Boy and the Heron to win, Hayao Miyazaki's latest film and possibly last film. But something tells me Spider-Man's got the momentum.
Yeah, I have to agree with you there on Spider-Man. I did see Elemental. I enjoyed it. It wasn't the best Pixar film, but it was good. It was a good film. It made money when a lot of films didn't. Robot Dreams. That's not the same. There's a new trailer that I saw about a robot.
Yeah, the robot and the dog. It probably is what you saw.
Is that Robot Dreams?
It might be. I don't know.
Because it looked really good.
Yeah, it just came out. I haven't seen it. I can't really comment on it. I've not seen Nimona as well either. But
yeah.
But I think the snubs here, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Mutant Mayhem, probably should have been in here. And I also think Super Mario Brothers maybe because it was so successful and kids did like it. It's a good kids film. But
I heard it wasn't like as films go, like structurally, it wasn't really a good structural film. But
Super Mario,
yeah, it was big time fan service.
It was simply an A to B. It's all it was get from point A to point B.
So it's
simple story.
It's not getting a script award.
No. It's just, but it is an entertaining, fast paced kids movie.
Yeah.
So but I get why it's maybe not up to these more highbrow films.
Right.
But yeah.
What do we have next? Documentary shorts.
Yeah, we'll do the documentaries. Documentary short, we got the ABCs of Book Burning, The Barber of Little Rock, Island in Between, The Last Repair Shop, Nine, and Warpo. ABCs of Book Burning seems timely. It's about book banning in schools right now.
Yeah.
I also heard really good things about Last Repair Shop, but that could spoil it. But I would lean towards ABCs of Book Burning if you're doing an Oscar pool. And then documentary feature, I would lean towards 20 Days in Mariupol. It's a documentary on the war in Ukraine. So another reason to vote for it. Timely
film.
Yes, sir. And then we move on to an international feature. I think this is one of the locks of the night, although there's a slim chance that Society of the Snow could take it. But international feature we've got from Germany, Teacher's Lounge. From Italy, Io Capitano. From Japan, Perfect Days, which looked interesting. We've been seeing the trailers for that one, right? Mm-hmm. Spain, Society of the Snow, and United Kingdom for the Zone of Interest. But I do think this is pretty much a lock for Zone of Interest. If it does not win...
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, we can get to that. But, yes, Zone of Interest, I think this is its definite one win. It could win sound, but because that's the whole design of the film is around the sound design. But I do think it's a lock here. Society of the Snow is on Netflix. It's about the Uruguayan rugby team that crashes, the plane crash in the Andes.
Oh, okay.
And their story of survival, which is a lot. I think it's similar to Alive. It may even be based on the same crash. But this is very realistic. I actually watched it yesterday. The plane crash is incredible, like the visual effects and just the makeup in this. And it is nominated for makeup because this shows the effects of being in the snow, that wilderness for 70 something days or whatever. So, but yeah, I do think Zone of Interest is a lock for international feature. And then we move on to sound, I think is appropriate because Zone of Interest is nominated here, and it is a brilliant sound design. So for those of you that don't know the premise of Zone of Interest, it is set in the commandant's house just outside of Auschwitz. So I'm drawing a blank on his name, but and I'm glad. I don't want to remember the names of these monsters. So,
right.
But it is about him and his wife and his family trying to live a normal life, outside the gates of Auschwitz. And so you don't see any of the atrocities inside the gates, but you hear it. You hear everything, going on from afar. And that could be the upset here for best sound because of how important the sound design is to that film. You also have in this category, The Creator,
which was
Maestro. Brilliant. Yeah. Creator was, and as far as sound and visual effects, I really did think Creator was great. Maestro, Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1, its first appearance here tonight. And then Oppenheimer, which I do think is the favorite. I think Oppenheimer takes best sound if Zone of Interest does not.
Yeah, and I feel like I agree with you there. I mean, I'm a little happily surprised that Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1 is in there. Or, I'm sorry, just Dead Reckoning now. But Oppenheimer, I feel like it's a lock on that. It's kind of hard to bet against Oppenheimer at this point, I
mean, the Christopher Nolan sound design teams are always incredible.
Top notch, yeah. A big part of The Dark Knight, which is one of my favorites of his, it is the sound. Well, all of his films is the sound. I mean, just the beginning sequences and just his choice, incredible.
Yeah.
So we have original score, and what makes up original score and original song? Is there what are the precursors? Because I mentioned a film at one time. I mentioned The Color Purple, and you said that it has to be an original. Well, it has to be like for original song. It has to be original, not like a previous song that was in another iteration.
Correct. So it has to be written specifically for the film. So that's why all those great songs in The Color Purple are not nominated because they're not original songs. They're from the Broadway show. So, yeah, with original score, it's kind of the same way. It's like if you take the score from the show, then you're not, it doesn't count.
Okay.
But yeah, so the nominees here for score this year are American Fiction, Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny, Mr. John Williams.
54.
54.
Nice.
54, and it's, it is his last nomination, right? It's the last thing he's working on,
I
right?
heard that he was coming out of retirement for something. I
Really?
don't know if that's true.
He wants that 55th nomination. Got to have that 55th round number.
Yeah, there you go.
But yeah, he's 54 nominations, 5 wins already. I don't think he's going to win this year, but it's always nice to see that name in the list of original score.
This next one could be a sentimental favorite.
Absolutely. Killers of the Flower Moon, Robbie Robertson, former member of the band. It's his first nomination ever, and he just passed away recently. Yeah. So it would be a very sentimental, great win if they were to award it to Robbie Robertson.
Yeah.
Also in this category is Poor Things, a really unique score. But I do think the favorite again, Oppenheimer. The score is what drives that movie forward. It's like you wouldn't think it would be so well paced and interesting, but honestly, the score is kind of what does it. It keeps you in on the edge of your seat and intrigued. And this is Ludwig Göransson, who's this is his second nomination. He already won for Black Panther. He did all the scores for The Mandalorian, so he's a very wanted composer right now, and I do think he wins his second Oscar for Oppenheimer.
All right, there. I can already see there's some titles in there I'm going to screw up, so I'll let you do original song.
All right, so here we got what's her name? Ava Longoria produced "Flaming Hot," and it gets an Oscar nomination. The Fire Inside, Flaming Hot. It is Diane Warren. Imagine that. Diane Warren gets nominated for the 15th time, and she's never won. And I don't know if she ever will. She'll probably get one of those honorary Oscars one day. Unless she really comes out and has a hit song, because I don't know. I've never heard The Fire Inside. This is what kind of drives me. I'm a little upset about this category because we get some song we've never heard. We get It Never Went Away from John Baptiste, which a lot of people were thinking he would have got original score for this. I'm not that upset about it. It was a decent song. And he's already won once for score for, he did the score for Soul. But when Was Haze, I may even say it wrong. It's a song from Killers of the Flower Moon. That came out of nowhere. I did not see that one coming. And then there are two songs from Barbie nominated. What Was I Made For? Billie Eilish. And I'm Just Ken, written by Mark Ronson, which it's his second nomination. He wrote Shallow with Lady Gaga on A Star Is Born, so he's already won one. But I want I'm Just Ken to win. I out of these nominations,
you want it to be performed as well. That would be a plus.
It is going to be performed. So it is confirmed that all 5 songs will be performed, which means Ryan Gosling is getting on that stage to perform I'm Just Ken. I think it'll be the best moment of the night.
Yeah, it could be fun. It could be fun.
So, and I really do hope it upsets Billie Eilish, but I think she's going to win again. She won for the Bond song. What was it? What was the No Time to Die, I believe. So I think she's getting her second Oscar, but
I don't got a problem with her winning. It'd be nice if Ken won it, but part of me feels like John Baptiste could come out of left field, because I feel like he's someone that the industry really loves.
Yeah,
I don't know.
And the movie, if you haven't seen it, is actually about him writing his Great American Symphony while his wife goes through chemotherapy.
Oh, wow.
So it's this really interesting balance of art and life, and I was surprised it wasn't up for Best Documentary, because it was very well done. So yeah, you're right. Maybe Barbie splits the vote, and something happens like that.
Could be.
I do think we need to talk about the biggest snub of all is Peaches from Super Mario Brothers.
That's a classic.
It would have been amazing to see Jack Black perform that at the Oscars.
I remember a song called Peaches from the 90s, and it was about something totally different.
President of the United
States.
Yeah.
Move into the country.
But I also think the other Barbie song, the Dua Lipa song, probably could have stuck in here too. But oh well, and we gotta have a boring Oscars. Think about Dua Lipa opening the show, man. Like, they should have thought about stuff like that. Jack Black performing Peaches. You want to get viewers? You're gonna nominate Jack Black, and you're gonna nominate Dua Lipa. Come on now.
I gotta ask you a question, since we both just saw Kung Fu Panda 4, which is obviously Oscar bound. Was that Jack Black singing "Baby One More Time" by Britney?
It sure was. It was Jack Black covering Britney Spears at the end of that movie. Yeah,
and I liked it. I don't know why I liked it, but I did.
Oh, it was fantastic.
Yeah. So now, something I know nothing about: makeup and hairstyling.
We're both novices there.
Yeah. Golda.
I do. Yeah, go ahead. Yep.
Oh, nominees are Golda, which I'm surprised that film didn't get more nominations for other things. Maestro by
Kazuhiro is the legendary makeup artist there. His 5th nomination. He's won twice before for Darkest Hour and Bombshell.
Then we have Oppenheimer, Poor Things, and Society of the Snow.
Yeah. So Golda, you're right. I really did enjoy Helen Mirren's performance there. Makeup is really great. But Maestro is your favorite. I think even Kazuhiro, having won 2 times before, if you just compare all the prosthetics and the work and whatnot, right. I just think Maestro comes out ahead. Poor Things has a chance here. But I do think this is Maestro's one win again. Throwing.
I think for Oppenheimer, this is the weakest of categories. I mean, because they didn't do anything exceptional. When you get to this level, you're looking for something exceptional. Poor Things, I could almost see that being a front runner for,
for Willem Dafoe. So I think in Oppenheimer, yes, you age Downey Jr. Yes, you age Cillian Murphy. Yeah. But Poor Things, you've got some really bizarre stuff going on there.
Right.
Like in Willem Dafoe's very deformed. And but
you mentioned,
go ahead.
No, I was saying you mentioned Society of the Snow with the plane crash victims and stuff like that. So I could see where that could gain support for a win.
Right. I do think Maestro with making Bradley Cooper looks just like, the real man in that film. So, and it's just pretty amazing, pretty well done. So I think it's Maestro's one win of the evening. Again, spread the love. Maestro gets one here. And then similar to makeup and hairstyle, we got more design. We got costume design.
And, with the makeup and hairstyling before, AI takes over the industry and does it all itself. It's nice to see some practical makeup and hairstyling being done, I guess.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, with prosthetics still,
Yeah. So costume design, we have, who are the nominees?
Yeah. So costume design, we've got Barbie, Killers of the Flower Moon, Napoleon, Oppenheimer, and Poor Things. In fact, costume design and production design, we have the same 5 films on both of them. It's the exact same film. So Barbie, Killers of the Flower Moon, Napoleon, Oppenheimer, and Poor Things, both for costume and production design. In costume design, you got the Battle of the Jacquelines. Jacqueline Duran, it's her 9th nomination. She did Barbie. She's won twice before. And then you got Jacqueline West, who's been nominated 5 times now, and she's actually the mastermind behind the costume designs of Dune Part 1 and Dune Part 2. So we may see her win next year.
I was about to say. Now, didn't we get back-to-back wins for, and I can't remember her name, for Black Panther? Not back-to-back, but
Ruth
Carter. They weren't in back-to-back years, but they were back-to-back films, I guess.
Right.
Or at least
she's
in the series.
Exactly.
But we could get literally back-to-back for Jacqueline West for Dune Part 1 and Part 2.
Yeah, if she were, she's not nominated for Dune Part 1 this year.
Sorry.
She's nominated for Killers of the Flower Moon this year. But then you got Napoleon, kind of interesting, Janty Yates. It's her 2nd nomination. And she won. Her other nomination was in 2000 for Gladiator when she did another Ridley Scott film. She's nominated for Napoleon. And then there's Oppenheimer.
So
Poor Thing.
Ridley calls, she answers.
Yeah, I suppose so. This is tough. I feel like costume and production design are both going to come down to Barbie and Poor Things. So right now I'm leaning towards Barbie getting costume, Poor Things getting production design. And it could go opposite. They both could sweep. I don't know. It's just really tough to say right now. Right. Poor Things did win, I believe, with the Production Design Guild. They both won with the Costume Design Guild because they were in different categories. So it's kind of tough to say who's going to win. But flip a coin, Barbie or Poor Things for costume and production design.
Right. So production design, we have Barbie, Killers of the Flower Moon, Napoleon, Oppenheimer, and Poor Things. And your pick is for
Poor Things. Right.
Yeah. Visual effects, we have The Creator, which I was so upset that it didn't do as well as I thought it should have at the box office. It just felt like a film that was timely, but maybe people are sick of hearing about AI. I don't know. But visual effects were really good, really done well in that film for such an incredibly low budget. And speaking of an even more incredibly low budget, Godzilla -1, that's probably one of the best Godzilla films I've ever seen. And it did so much with so little. I think it showed the industry you can be very successful on a very tight budget. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. Guardians is always great for visual effects. Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1. And Napoleon. those are the nominees for visual effects, and we're going with the creator, and I hope that's what happens.
Yeah, I think this is another coin flip, though. Godzilla -1 could very well take it.
Get it, yeah.
I think Creator has the edge because it won, I believe, 2 awards with the Visual Effects Guild. So if you go off of that, then it's probably your front runner. But again, I just feel like Godzilla -1 is more artistic in a way. And it wasn't just the monster, all that rubble, all that stuff was, surely was visual effects. But I thought the creator was great. Like the way that, what were they? The kid robot, you could see through the way they were, the AI or whatever. It's pretty amazing. Like where, you were taking real people and then you could basically see through their head.
Right. Which is interesting. And the thing is, I felt like it added to the story. It didn't get in the way. Sometimes the visual effects get in the way of the story, they become their own story in a way. And this, it felt believable. So they made the visual effects a part of the film that brought it all together for me. So,
yeah, absolutely.
Anyway, so we get to cinematography, one of the big awards, and the nominees are...
All right, so you have Edward Lockman for El Conde, which is a film that came out of nowhere.
I've never even heard of it.
So it's a black and white vampire film on Netflix. It was directed by Pablo Larraín, who did Jackie, the story about Jackie Onassis. Jacqueline Kennedy. Yeah, it kind of came out of nowhere, but this is Lockman's 3rd nomination. He did those other 2 nominations for Todd Haynes films, Far From Heaven and Carol. You also have Rodrigo Prieto for Killers of the Flower Moon, his 4th nomination. He did Brokeback Mountain and then Silence and The Irishman, both with Scorsese also. Maestro, Matthew Libatique, it's his 3rd nomination. Black Swan and A Star Is Born were his previous 2. And then you got Robbie Ryan for Poor Things. He's the collaborator with Yorgos. And he's 2nd nomination. His first one was for The Favorite with Yorgos again. But I believe your front runner, I think it's probably a lock, is Oppenheimer.
Oppenheimer, yeah.
Hoyt van Hoytema. I love that name. Say that one.
Hoyt van Hoytema.
And this is his 2nd nomination. His first one was Dunkirk, another Christopher Nolan film. But yeah, I do believe the cinematography of Oppenheimer is incredible. An interesting note about most of these films in this, like at least 4 of them, have a lot of black and white photography in it. I know Poor Things does. Poor Things' cinematography is interesting. I think if there's a spoiler here, it could be Poor Things. They use a fisheye lens a lot. They do all these different things. It's very interesting. Use their different color schemes, black and white. So Poor Things could sneak in here, but I do think Oppenheimer takes it. Maestro is also kind of black and white in a lot of it. I don't think there was black and white in Killers of the Flower Moon, but
I don't remember any.
Felt like it could have been. So that's kind of the theme of cinematography this year. You had to use black and white to get nominated. So
there you go.
But Oppenheimer again here, and I think the next category it will take as well.
Yeah, editing. This is and one of these nominees. She doesn't get to do her job much because her director doesn't let her. But Anatomy of a Fall, The Holdovers, Poor Things, Oppenheimer, and Killers of the Flower Moon. Thelma Schoonmaker. Yeah. Her 9th nod, and she's had 3 wins, and her director doesn't like to edit much, so I don't know what she really got to do.
So I go back and forth on this with especially these long movies. It's like when Scorsese is a 4-hour movie and then he gets nominated for editing. It's kind of like, wait a minute, how much did he edit? Right. But if he has a 4-hour movie, he probably had 400 hours of footage. So you got to tip your hat to her to be able to put it together. But I do think this is a lock for Oppenheimer. It's so well put together.
But even if you go by that not argument, for lack of a better word, about Killers of the Flower Moon's length, Oppenheimer had an incredible length to it. Not as long, but it still felt interesting. So even though they did the edits they did worked for me because it kept me interested in the film. I didn't,
Sure.
get lost in it.
Right. I thought that was
way.
well paced. In a movie about science, it was well paced and it kept you interested.
Right.
And it's just, it was very well put together. And I think, it's one of those locks for Oppenheimer.
Yeah. Next we have adapted screenplay, and then the next one beyond that is original screenplay. So define the two for us, the difference between the two for us.
Essentially, you have previous source material that you base your screenplay off of for adapted. Okay. And then original is just an original idea out your brain.
Out your brain. So adapted screenplay nominees are American Fiction, Barbie, Oppenheimer, Poor Things, and The Zone of Interest.
I do think both screenplay categories are kind of up in the air. I'm just taking my best guess here from what I've read and what I think as far as again, spreading the love, making sure everything gets one. And I think here is where American Fiction gets its one for adapted screenplay. I believe Cord Jefferson will win. It's his first nomination, but I could totally see Barbie winning. I could totally see Oppenheimer winning. I could totally see Poor Things winning. So it's just, my best guess is American Fiction, just so it gets one. But in Barbie, it's Greta Gerwig. She got, a lot of people said she got snubbed for director. Maybe they would vote for her here for it to make up. And she co-wrote the script with her husband Noah Baumbach. Each of them have been nominated 3 times before for screenwriting, and they've never won. So it'd be kind of a good moment for them to win together. I could totally see that happening. Oppenheimer could sneak in here for Nolan, but Nolan's winning director more than likely, so I don't think he gets screenplay. The Poor Things script is extremely original, maybe the most original of all these nominees.
Yeah.
But again, I just feel like American Fiction was a really tight piece of writing, and it's a way to award that film because I don't think it'll win anything else.
I'm just trying to think what Barbie is adapted from. Is it adapted from the doll?
That was,
I mean,
yes, essentially, because that was a controversy when it got moved there because it was up for original screenplay at other award ceremonies.
Right.
So getting it moved there was definitely weird. People were kind of upset about it. But I think the idea is, yes, there was IP already. There was an existing property. So it counted as adapted. I don't know. It is what it is. It's like, it's like The Martian in Best Comedy at the Golden Globes.
Oh,
I don't know.
I think it's a way. Maybe it's a way of swinging an award that direction, or at the very least, a nomination instead of leaving it completely out. For Barbie.
Yeah.
And I think they're all original. I almost look at the adapted and think that list is very original.
Yeah, but
disseminate.
But American Fiction's based on a novel. Oppenheimer's based on a novel.
True.
So that makes sense. But for original screenplay, our nominees are Anatomy of a Fall, The Holdovers, May December, Maestro, and Past Lives. May December, this is its only nomination. I don't really agree with the nomination here when you could have had some other you definitely could have had some better things. Saltburn was original.
I think I absolutely hated May December. I think I
didn't like it either. I thought it was
one of the worst things I've ever seen.
Nice. Okay, there you go.
I think it was filmed. Might have been filmed in my hometown, possibly. But
it was filmed completely in Savannah.
I think I made it through most of it, and that was forcing myself. I thought it was absolutely horrible. As this generation coming up would say, it was dog water. So that's not a good thing. I hated it.
Yeah, so I don't agree with that one there. Interesting notes here. Celine's song is nominated here for Past Lives. Past Lives is only up for 2 awards. And the other nomination it has is for Best Picture. I always kind of get frustrated when something's up for Best Picture and it only has one other nomination.
Yeah.
I don't think I would put Past Lives in the top 10. I do think it is a well-told story, a very good movie about the modern-day immigrant's tale.
Right.
But I do think it has a shot to win here, although I think the favorite is Anatomy of a Fall. It has won a couple of precursors. Again, it's a way for the Academy to give Anatomy of a Fall one award tonight or tomorrow night. Justine Triet also is up for director. So again, you could vote for her here instead of director and give her an award.
And other than it being a good film, the title Anatomy of a Fall sounds like an Oscar-winning title. You know, that's a wonderful Anatomy of a Fall. I love that it flows really well. It's a really good title.
I personally wasn't impressed with the film. I thought it was pretty slow, but it seems like it's the favorite. My vote would be for The Holdovers. I think that's maybe the best script of the year.
I did agree with you on that. I do agree. I
really want The Holdovers to win there, and I hope it does upset Anatomy of a Fall. But I'm going to go with my gut and say Anatomy of a Fall takes it there. Maestro, interesting note here. Bradley Cooper co-wrote that. He's just becoming an all-around, what is it, a 5-tool?
Yeah.
Baseball. In baseball, it's 5 tools. I can't remember what it is.
Don't call him a tool.
Sorry, Brad.
But I didn't love Maestro. I didn't finish Maestro. I know I just something pulled me from it, and I never got back to it.
Yeah, I feel you. It was kind of I was a little underwhelmed with it because I thought that maybe we'd have a better understanding of the man and why we should really revere this man and what he did. But it was more so about his relationship with his wife and how, he had his secret life and everything.
Right.
And it is like both performances, Bradley Cooper and Carey Mulligan are fantastic in it, but I was mostly kind of bored with it. So yeah, I definitely wouldn't vote for it here. Holdovers is, I have a coworker that said it's like a warm blanket. Like they're going to watch it every Thanksgiving now, So I agree with that. The Holdovers is such a great feel-good movie with great performances and a wonderful script. But so I hope it kind of pulls out the upset there.
Now we're getting to the two final. Well, we have another one, but the two of the biggest categories in the whole night. Director and Best Picture. So we start with director. We have Jonathan Glazer for Zone of Interest, his first nod. Yorgos Lanthimos for Poor Things.
That's not bad. That's not bad. Yorgos Lanthimos.
Thank you. For Poor Things, his second nod. His first nod was for The Favorite. Christopher Nolan for Oppenheimer, his second nod. His first nod was for Dunkirk. Martin Scorsese, I feel like he's getting to the end of his career. There's always that chance that, you have to give it to him. But Killers of the Flower Moon, his 10th nod, and his first one was for The Departed, which is crazy to think he went all those years.
Yeah.
Departed, even though Departed was a very deserved movie for a win. And then we have Justine Triet.
Triet, very good, yeah.
For Anatomy of a Fall, her first nod. And politically speaking, female director upsetting some of these established guys, and that could be, would be big news, But then everyone's going to go, I know it's not, but
this is Nolan's night. Christopher Nolan's getting
Greta Gerwig,
Well, I don't think she was snubbed, but I would have put her here, especially over.
I'm predicting somebody in the audience is going to wear pink in protest of her not getting nominated, like pink with a little cross through it, a line through it. Yeah, there you go, pink power or something.
But yeah, I would have put her here. I would have definitely put Greta Gerwig here over Justine Triet. I would have put her here over Martin Scorsese. I don't think I would have put her over Glazer, Lanthimos, or Nolan. But I do think she's top 5 and she should have been there. But it doesn't matter because it's Christopher Nolan's year. He's finally winning. It's kind of crazy that he was never nominated, or like his only other directing nomination was Dunkirk. But this is kind of like this is kind of retribution, right? For The Dark Knight, for like, Dark Knight was
Dark Knight
should have
still holds up to me. It should have won Best Picture.
It should have been nominated at the very least.
And they
but
didn't.
There is a superhero bias for the most part, unfortunately.
There was.
But that is arguably the best superhero film of all time, right?
And I'm saying it, I've said it before. It's not a surprise, but Dark Knight, Black Panther, of course, Dark Knight. Much better than Black Panther ever was. I mean, still a good film, but not the Dark Knight. Dark Knight is just brilliant on so many levels, and all the performances are legendary. The whole film is legendary, and it's still, you can put it on any time, and I don't know anybody who doesn't think of Dark Knight in very high esteem. So for Nolan to finally get one and get it for Oppenheimer is possibly his masterpiece, and he's and that's saying a lot because he's got a lot of really great films, and I'm Team Nolan on this all the way. So director, yes, for Oppenheimer. Would love it. And we get to the biggest award, the Best Picture. And we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 nominees.
10. They did the full 10 this year.
Full 10.
Yep.
So they are American Fiction, Anatomy of a Fall, Barbie, The Holdovers, Killers of the Flower Moon, Maestro, Oppenheimer, Past Lives, Poor Things, and The Zone of Interest. That is a damn good list of like 10 films to see if you hadn't seen it.
It is a good list. Like I look at my own list, and a lot of these are up there on my list. The only ones I don't really agree with here are Anatomy of a Fall and Past Lives. They just didn't connect with me like the others did. I would have thrown Saltburn in there. I probably would have thrown The Boy and the Heron in there, but otherwise, a really great list. Oh yeah, Killers of the Flower Moon just outside my top 10, but still, I do think it's a solid film.
Yeah.
But yeah, interesting notes here. Margot Robbie is nominated, as we said before, for Best Picture as a producer. So not quite a snub for Margot Robbie. Bradley Cooper, Steven Spielberg is producer on Maestro. So Spielberg's nominated again here, even though he didn't direct it. And then Poor Things, Emma Stone gets a nomination here as a producer. So hats off to her for that. And then the winner, the lock, I think is Oppenheimer. It's Oppenheimer's night. And an interesting note, it's Christopher Nolan and his wife, Emma Thomas, as co-producers on this. I believe there's another producer that will win as well with them. But you will see Nolan and his wife both come up there. And, everything
what a
you
moment
hear.
that'll be. Yeah.
Yeah, and everything you hear from their crew and cast and everything says they're an amazing team to work for. If I'm not mistaken, Emma Thomas does production design. I may be wrong on that, but I feel like she did production design on most of his films too. So, but here she's a producer. Be a good moment when they both walk up on stage and take home that last award of the night. I don't think anything else has a chance here. This is probably a lock. I mean, Poor Things has a lot of nominations, but I just don't see it getting enough momentum here to win. Barbie, I don't think was going to get enough Best Picture votes, but you never know. I mean, but I do think this is one of the locks of the night. Oppenheimer's probably going to win 6, 7 awards of the night, and then the rest will be spread around.
I think it's going to win 13.
It's going to sweep. Okay.
This is Return of the King night.
Yeah, I mean, I guess we could count what we said: 1, 2, 3.
I want to see Oppenheimer in that echelon of very unique films that won more than 10 Oscars.
So, actually, I predicted 8, so I predicted Oppenheimer to win 8. Okay. So we'll see. 8 out of 13.
8 ain't bad. I'll take 8, but
that's all right.
I'd rather a nice round number like 10 or 13, which isn't round, but. It's Oppenheimer's night. Obviously, that's how we feel about it, give or take. Yep. Then we have some honorary awards, 2 of those, and I'll let you chat about.
Yeah, those. I thought it'd be nice to mention that because I don't know how much time they're actually going to spend on the telecast. But there are 3 people getting honorary awards, but the 2 notable ones are Mel Brooks and Angela Bassett. Angela Bassett so close to winning a few years ago or a couple years ago for Wakanda Forever, and that forever memeable disdain that she had for losing, and now she gets her honorary award. I mean, I think she does deserve it. Let's not just give it to her because she was upset. Because I mean, think about the movies she's done in the past, especially What's Love Got to Do with It.
That's one that she should have gotten. But you have to go back and look at what films you were competing against, and you invariably always find that most times the Oscar is right on some of these. But yeah, she it doesn't diminish her power and importance as an actress. She's one of the best that we have, and an honorary award's better than never getting one. We can't all be Meryl Streep, but
Yeah, and then Mel Brooks, he did win an Oscar for the producer, so he already has one. But I just love that they're honoring the man. He revolutionized film comedy. Like how many comedies were nominated for Oscars? Like there's so few, and like he won for the producers. He was nominated for Best Screenplay for Young Frankenstein. I believe he was nominated for Best Song for Blazing Saddles, and he just broke down the wall of what comedies could do. And I really do hope they do a good vignette on him for this, but I have a feeling they're not. Surprise me though, Academy, please. Let's spend a good 10 minutes on Mel Brooks tomorrow night.
Yeah, I mean it's good to see him getting some props. How old is he? 100 already? He's doggone close to it.
He's not the 100-year-old man yet.
He's getting there.
But he's got to be in his 90s. Yeah.
Yeah, and so it's nice to see, not just looking forward, but looking back at some of the great people that have made such great contributions to film, and he's definitely one of them. I mean, his stuff is just so classic.
Yeah, he's 97 years old.
97. I knew he was close to that. Now, History of the World Part 2, I did not get into. I tried.
Some of it's pretty sophomoric and childish,
right,
but I enjoyed it. It was a nice throwback. I mean, we finally got Jews in space, so I mean that was enough for me.
I know that's hilarious, but what else are our thoughts about this Oscars? How do you think this year is going to stand up to previous Oscars?
As far as the evening goes?
Yeah, the evening goes. I mean,
I don't know. I do like Kimmel. I think that the song, a couple of the song, well, actually, honestly, only one of the song performances I'm looking forward to. So that's kind of a bummer. I think that unfortunately the song performances are going to be underwhelming, except for I'm Just Ken. That's going to probably be your highlight. And then some people might get bored with Oppenheimer winning damn near everything, but it's just the way it goes.
It damn well deserves it.
Yeah, right.
There you go. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, like we talked at the beginning of the show, award shows seem to be becoming less and less viewed. It's not just like film related award shows, it's music award shows. I mean, it's like people are less and less inclined to tune in, and you've got to hook them, and you've got to make them shorter and more engaging, and sometimes you have to.
To your point, like the way we're watching them is changing. So the SAG Awards was exclusively on Netflix. You had to watch it on Netflix. So it wasn't advertised on TV or anything, And then the Independent Spirit Awards was only on YouTube. So it's like, you're right. Like we're getting away from it. But the big ones, the Oscars, the Grammys, the Emmys, I feel like there's always going to be a place for that, or at least I hope there will be. I'm an old, I'm just going to be the old guard that likes tradition. So hopefully there'll still be that. I think that you just have to keep coming up with, ways to get people to watch. You have to keep coming back with good hosts. Don't choose hosts based on, politics. Choose your host based on who's going to do a good job and who's going to be funny. I mean, I really do think the Oscars should go bold and get Ricky Gervais. I don't know if they ever will.
This would be the year for that, wouldn't it?
Yeah. But I do think Kimmel does a good job. Hopefully we get our, Matt Damon moment with him, so we'll see.
We had somebody pop up in the chat here. Easton Plays, their YouTube channel. We want to say welcome to our live stream here as we talk about the 2024 Oscars. My thoughts on the Oscars. I mean, I'm always gonna love film. I'm always gonna go to the theaters. We're looking at the box office this year. The only billion-dollar film we're probably going to get this year is Deadpool Wolverine versus Wolverine. And
yeah, it'll be interesting to see how close Dune gets. It could get there, but you're right. Deadpool and Wolverine will certainly hit that mark.
Right. And
most anticipated. I think Furiosa will do well, but again, $1 billion is a tough number to get to, obviously.
It definitely is. The future of where we go. I don't want the movie experience of going to the theater and going bankrupt, of course, paying the mortgage or getting popcorn and everything else. I don't want the experience of movies to go away. And I think, I don't always agree with Scorsese, but you have to, I do agree that you have to see some films on the big screen, like Nolan says. There's something to see in one of his films in IMAX and experiencing the film, I know there's been an uptick in the bigger formats, the larger formats, a lot. 47% of Dune Part 2's box office has been from the large format and IMAX screenings. And I think theaters to survive are going to need to cater more to that, and I just, as a society, how with streaming, it's going through a complicated growing phase, but it's not going away. Physical media is all but disappearing before our eyes. And eventually we will not own our own films. The video game industry is starting to look and see the possibilities of this and the ramifications of all that as well. But we're going to get to the point where we don't own any of our physical media, and then you have a streaming service, and then all of a sudden they decide a certain film isn't going to be on there, or they rotate it out, and you want to watch that film, and you may not in the future be able to watch that film or play that video game. And that concerns me, because if I purchase something, I purchase the right to watch that film, and I should be able to watch it whenever I choose, not when someone else dictates. So those are my concerns going forward, and I don't know how Hollywood and the Academy and all are dealing with that. They're not dealing well with it. I don't know what to say about that, other than the Oscars celebrates what's great about film, and I want there still to be that experience of watching a film, and being engaged in it and being a part of it for several hours of your life. There's nothing like it, and watching it at home on a smaller screen doesn't give you the same effect. Going to, if it's a tentpole film, or even if it's a smaller film, when I watched The Color Purple, I told you the sensation of being in a crowd that was so energized about that film, and there's nothing like that. You can't sit in your house and get that same feeling when you've got maybe 150, 200 other people in the theater, and they're all into the film, and just, it's just such a great experience, and I don't want us to lose that as a culture, but that's my thoughts on it. So so tomorrow are the Oscars, March 10th. We're doing this live stream March 9th, 2024, so this is our pre-Oscars show. I don't know that we'll be able to come back tomorrow we definitely won't get to do it tomorrow, but look for this coming week. All things being equal.
Yeah, luckily we're both very busy. Yeah, luckily we're both very busy right now.
Yep.
I've got first week of shooting is done. It's been exciting. So yeah.
And I know you can't say on what you're on, but
No, I don't mind. No, I just can't say specifics.
Okay.
But yeah, I'm lucky to be working right now, working on Thunderbolts, Marvel's Thunderbolts right now. So, but yeah,
I'm interested to see the end result with that. I know it's gone through some changes, and don't comment on anything, Mr. Oscar's prognosticator.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure I spelled that right.
I don't know. I wouldn't know. But we both love the cinema experience. We really enjoy it. It's and we love doing these shows, especially these episodes are always special. Our Oscars pre and post. And I need to look up which episode. If you go back and check Geek Homeworld out, wherever you get your podcast at, it's Geek Homeworld, or also our YouTube channel, you'll probably see some earlier episodes. I know we did one. I feel like we did an early Oscars preview when the nominations first came out. Do you remember?
Yeah, it was probably back in October or something.
Yeah, it was like super early this year or last year. So I should have, before this broadcast, or maybe for our next show, I can pull out our list of what we had, if I still have that.
Yeah, it would be interesting. I think
what we thought. I
want to say we thought Napoleon would be more involved. It did get 3 nominations.
We did.
But then it ended up being kind of a terrible movie, so.
That's probably one of my biggest disappointments was Napoleon, because I was like, Oppenheimer, Napoleon, Flowers, Killers of the Flower Moon. Well, I knew I said Oppenheimer. Oppenheimer, Napoleon, Killers of the Flower Moon were going to be the big ones I knew for sure. And then Napoleon just turned out to be something totally different. And I don't know that we saw a nomination for Beau is Afraid. We didn't on here, did we?
There's none. No, they got snubbed as well. I'm not that upset about it. I did like the film, but again, I don't know where you would throw it in here too.
I don't either. Yeah, it was a disturbing film, but if we have to go for performances, Joaquin Phoenix, wow, it's just amazing. Yeah. And looking forward, we have Joker 2. I'm not even going to take an attempt at the title. But I'm hearing it's going to, right now, the early talk on it is it's going to be a Lady Gaga-centered film.
Which makes sense. I mean, you already had your Joker-centric movie, so...
She's going to have to make Harley Quinn her own thing, because Margot Robbie could have stepped right out of off of the animated screen or out of the comics or whatever. She is Harley Quinn. She nailed that role. I didn't agree with some of the films she was in. I didn't like all of them as much, but as embodying the character, few people could have done it as well as Margot Robbie did, in my opinion, as Harley Quinn. So I'm interested to see what Lady Gaga can. She's super talented. I'd love to see what she's going to do with the film. It's going to be interesting to see how they follow up the Joker. I don't know. It's going to be a different kind of film, so I need to broaden my horizons a little bit and see where we land with things. Is there anything we haven't covered? Anything?
I think we did it all, bud.
We did it all. Well, thank you for helping put together the notes, because otherwise I'd be all over the place. And it probably still was.
Otherwise,
yeah, no, another tangent. A tangent to my tangents. But anyway, so oops, sorry. I did not mean that. I hit the wrong button there. Hold on. Let's try to do something here. Anyway,
no, that's all right. I kind of like that, because you can't see that. I can't see it unless I exit out of it, and then.
Oh, okay.
But anyway,
well, those are some of the comments we had. But anyway, so yeah, this has been our Oscars 2024 preview show, and hopefully this week we'll get in our Oscars post show. So please check it. If you haven't, please, if you're here for the first time, we have some first timers here in the chat. Please subscribe to the page. We've got a lot of great content to it. Geek Homeworld's available wherever you get your audio podcast and everything else. In the YouTube channel here, like and subscribe. Give us a thumbs up if you're enjoying this. Hit us back in the comments if you catch this on the replay. And thank you for everybody who's joined us here in the live stream today. We really appreciate it. And if you like stuff like this, we have a lot more fascinating stuff coming for you. And so I'm going to wrap it up and stop my yapping. And let's play the outro here. And thank you, Scott Schreiber, for joining us here on Geek Homeworld, and we'll see you guys later. Bye-bye. Welcome to the Geek Homeworld podcast. I'm your host, Ed, a.k.a. The Savage Tech Man. We talk film, TV, and tech, all from a geek perspective. You can find us on X, Instagram, Facebook, and you can subscribe and follow on YouTube at Geek Homeworld. Don't forget to subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. Be a part of the Geek Homeworld.